3 from closed session, and I do have a couple things to report out. First one being a student matter. We did student discipline and other confidential matter, Ed Code sections 35146 and 48915. The board took action by motion, Mark Maselli, and then seconded by trustee Dr. Moss, and they approved the staff recommendation of student expulsion of student number 23023 for the 23-24 school year by the following vote, and it was 4-0 with 1 absent. Secondly, in closed session, it was under item 4E.1. In closed session, by a vote of 4-0, the board took action to accept the resignation of employee ID number 10952, effective June 7th, 2024. And it was first by Maselli and seconded by Grubbs. So that takes us into our, Grubbs. All right. Now let me find where I'm at here.
And I'm having trouble with it.
Do you need help?
Maybe.
I had problems the whole time today too.
Did you?
But it was user error, I think. Is it imperative that CC be online? Okay, so, okay. I know you want to be online. Can we get some help from our guys in the back?
It is it's user error.
Never mind. Thank you. Oh, this is still not working. It's what? Yes. Okay, this meeting is being recorded and for live streaming and archiving on our district YouTube channel for your convenience. Next, we're going to do the pledge. Who am I going to pick on? Would you like to lead us in the pledge tonight? Sure. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and be seated, and thank you for leading us tonight. Okay, we're going on to our next item, which is our highlight. Oh, no, it's our approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written, please?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes. Okay, we're moving on to item 8, our highlight, celebrating literacy with our youngest learners. Miss Rice, come on and join us. She's the Director of Ed Services. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm Stephanie Rice, Director of Education Services, and I have the privilege this evening to highlight early literacy in Benicia Unified. So to start out, what is the story thus far? So as you know, BUSD has the goal for all students reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade and beyond, because it doesn't stop there. Currently, the reality is that we have 54% students met or exceeded standard according to CASP, which is the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, which is the standards for state of California for meeting grade level in reading. So then you'll ask, well, what is our plan? Well, our plan started at the end of last year, where we trained teachers in the science of reading. We had 45 teachers, K-3, take part in the training, 8 teachers, 4-5, and we're continuing to offer that, which will start in January of this year, to train our teachers in the science of reading. We did that first to really build a foundation of understanding with our teachers of how to be a strong teacher in reading. And then we brought forth materials to look at a possible adoption for curriculum in kindergarten through third grade. In spring, the teachers gave feedback and they decided to have a pilot. And from their feedback, they wanted to have teachers at each grade level, kindergarten, first, second, and third, but a grade level per site because they really wanted to work tightly with their grade level team and not be at a different pace as their counterparts at their site. So I'll speak more on that in a moment. And then also in our plan, we are aligning our intervention programs across our sites, as well as doing outreach to our community through our Benicia Reads movement. So currently, we have all four of our elementary sites piloting Open Court ELA. It's a McGraw-Hill product. If you want to go around and see any of these classrooms in action, let me know. I would be happy to showcase. But we have some here, actually, that we'll share with you in a moment. Our kindergarten at Mary Farmer, so our Mary Farmer Falcons, are currently piloting this program. And in this program, it has a really strong foundational piece. So phonics, phonemic awareness, concepts of print. As you see in that first picture, it's in Miss Mauger's classroom. She has some of her students here. And not only are they doing the foundational skills, but they're connecting it to knowledge. So they're really exploring concepts, asking questions, and as they find the answers to these questions, they bring it over to their concepts so they can explore that in their writing, etc. You also see on the right a student reading a decodable text. So right now they're really learning concepts of print, how to turn the pages in a book, reading across the pages. And this student here shared with me, this book does not have a table of contents, he wanted me to know, as they were going through. And this was not even 2 months into school in kindergarten. And then we have a video to show you from Miss Barragon's class, exploring a decodable text. And she said this is really real and raw footage, as this is the first time they've seen this text, so you can see that experience.
All right, friends, turn to the title page of the book. Title page, get your magic reading fingers ready, and let's read the title together. Here we go. We go. Open up to the first page. Wait for everybody. Ready? We go up the ladder. Good. Turn the page. We go down the slide. We go up the steps. We go down the pole. We go up the hill. We go down the hill.
Shows you the experience of reading, right, across the pages. I experienced that classroom after they had practiced that several times and kids were tracking. They were identifying their sight words as they're learning sight words in kindergarten, and it was pretty amazing to see. So to expand on that amazingness, we have Miss Mauger from Mary Farmer and some of her Mary Farmer Falcons here to share some of their learning with you.
Learning in case you wanted to look at it. We've been making class books as part of this curriculum, and we love them. We ask for them every day. They read them. They're kind of torn up because we read them every day. Do you guys want to go hand them out?
So these are class-made books by the kindergarten.
And they are the illustrators and the authors. Here, get that one. And I'm just their scribe. Go show.
Thank you.
Whenever you guys are ready, we have our song for you because the ABC song is a little bit different these days, so we thought you might want to hear it. Do you guys wanna hear it?
Yes.
Okay, ready? Okay, ready, set, go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Yes.
Thank you. I will forget how to sing the alphabet.
Okay, now can you show them the chant? But I have a rule. You have to stay one step behind the microphone. Step back.
One.
That's my rule.
Am I okay?
No, one more.
Am I okay?
And you cannot scream into it because they want to hear your beautiful voices, not your screaming voices. Okay? Want to do the ABC chant, right?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Yay. Very good.
And then I'm just gonna brag a little bit more on them and show you something. Sorry. We have these things that we do in the like kind of knowledge section and reading section. That's our concept and question board. And all of this is directly taken from them and from our learning. And we were just doing this today. And so everything starts out as a question, and they're kind of questioning things that are going to happen. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like. We're learning about the weather, so it's an umbrella.
They can hold it up there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, friend.
Thank you so much. Here. I got it. And so everything has started out over here as a question that we've done. And everything over here is everything that we've learned. And everything that's coming directly from them. So in our, for example, like we talked about like what types of weather they had seen. And at first they were like rain. And then we like talked about it and read our text for a while. And they came up with so many things like thunderstorms were different than lightning storms because lightning storms, there's no rain, but in thunderstorms, there's rain. And the one we were doing today was like, what do animals do to stay dry during a storm? Because we know what we do to stay dry during a storm. And so all of these questions were over here at the beginning, and it just kind of like as a way that they're showing their learning. And I've been teaching in this district for 8 years now, and I'm like amazed every day at what is like coming from their tiny little brains. So we just wanted to show you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Mager. And you students, we have your booklets here if you want to come and get them. You did an amazing job and an amazing job with the microphone today. Thanks for being here. Good job.
Can we do that?
I'm gonna have them stand in front of you that we get a quick picture of them.
Can you ring it one more time? Thank you.
One, two, three. Smile. One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Farmer Kinder. Thank you, families, for bringing them too. So to continue on, we also are piloting this at Robert Semple in first grade. And as you can see from the picture up there, they're doing they're doing word walls, as a lot of you might know, but they also are doing sound walls. So they're teaching that several different combinations can create one sound, and really explicitly. The picture on the left, you'll see that they're focusing on their sight words. They're also focusing on vocabulary, which Miss Margaret was just talking about. I witnessed that in kindergarten as well, just really rich vocabulary connected to knowledge base. Then they take what they're learning as a whole, they apply it individually through their phonics and phonemic awareness work, which then transfers over into their writing. So one sample you see here, like the picture in the middle, it says, first, we were at recess. Next, we were running on the bark fast. Then, Mila fell down and I helped her up. Last, I took her to the office. Then she was okay. Such a great flow, right? You see capitalization, you see punctuation, you could feel it. I know I'm hearing from the former fifth grade teacher, oh my gosh. And you do see a couple words are not spelled correctly, but they are spelled according to the sound. So you can see that they're getting the sound, so they will get there. Then we have second grade at Matthew Turner is our pilot site for us this year. And you see similar things. So they're still doing a strong intentional phonics, phonemic awareness, and word work. The two pictures on the right, the student actually is leading them through. They're doing an interactive piece that they're projecting, and they're grouping sounds, because when we read a word such as strip, you don't say st, ip, right? We blend, so they're teaching the blending, and the student actually is leading the stir, ip, strip. And then they're applying it individually, so they're doing the group work, individual work. They do whole class reading. We do have an anthology, which the kids love. They love reading all together. They also have decodable text, and then so they can go and do their independent reading. That leads us into writing in second grade, where the one on the left, they are putting together their ideas, which is their first step in drafting. And then the other two you see where they've made either their final draft before their final revise, which they share with their class and they get feedback and can go back and edit. And this is in second grade. It's really exciting to hear the tips and questions that the kiddos have. And then in third grade, we have our Henderson Hounds that are piloting. And again, you see our sounds, and it's much more for them to reference in the future. This year, I want to give a shout out to our third grade pilot teachers, because this has been much more of a challenge. We don't have a really strong phonics and phonemic awareness in our district currently. So they are really having to teach in, but this is giving them the tools to do it. And then the picture on the right is showing the knowledge-based connection and the deep vocabulary work that they do, which leads us into writing, how kids are applying what they've learned in their reading through really identifying topic sentences. You'll see the writing on the right. You see multiple paragraphs. This is less than 2 months into school in third grade. You see sentence structure. And when you hear this piece, you're going to hear the voice and the creativity that the student has. So I'm going to ask Ms. Schroer's student, Brooklyn Mason, to come up. She's here and she's going to share her piece with us. Yay.
What if everyone had a pet cow? Wouldn't it be so fun? I think that everyone should have a pet cow, especially a miniature cow. You're probably asking why. My brother and I would play with the cow. Also, we would be so busy playing with the cow that we wouldn't bother our parents telling them that we're bored. Also, instead of looking at the TV all day, we could go play with the cow. In addition, a miniature cow is very cute. Milk is getting so expensive in stores nowadays, free milk would be good. Finally, miniature cows are the cutest animal on earth. Well, I think so. What would you do with a miniature cow if you had one?
Thank you.
That's great.
That would be awesome.
How many of you want a pet cow now, right?
Yeah.
A miniature one.
A miniature one.
What I said to you is I said, can I come and play with your pet cow if you get one? I would
She's
like
working
to-
on that.
Oh, all right. Okay. Thank you. That was
after
great.
the baby sibling, right? I'm about to wrap it up, but I wanted to also highlight in our early literacy some things that have shifted across all 4 elementary sites when students are not getting everything they need from their first best instruction and they either need it again or in a different way. We have a tier 2 support through our intervention across our sites. So what's different this year is all 4 sites are completely aligned. They're all using the Orton Gillingham IMSE curriculum. All of our intervention teachers have been trained in this program. They started with an assessment that is consistent across all 4 sites to really identify areas within the student's reading journey that they specifically can work on, such as working on beginning sounds versus being a level K reader. So we're really intentionally honing in on that support. And then last but not least, it's that outreach to our community and especially working on connecting with families before they even get into our system. So I know you're very aware, we have Benicia Reads, which is a partnership with the Benicia Unified School District and the City of Benicia. And we just had an event last month, which was called the Storybook Stroll. And we had kids start off in that first picture all the way to the left. They were greeted and given maps to go on their hunt for letters of the alphabet. They went down First Street and met up with our Liberty High, thank you, and our BHS students for getting a lesson on that letter, that sound. They identified things and were read things. And then they looped back and came back and were able to pick a book of their choice for free. And as you can see, that top picture, little girl, crisscross applesauce, she's actually in front of the book table. She found her book, plopped right down there and started reading. And several families stayed around and just read and enjoyed, and it was a really awesome experience. So that is the end of highlighting early literacy in BUSD.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Rice. Thank you, Ms. Mauger. Thank you to all our students that participated today. And I know one of our students is missing a piece of their book, so I want to make sure you get that. And I'm just so happy to have you guys here. Thank you so much. And I know, you might want to just stick around and have so much fun at our board meeting, but I also know that it's like going to be bedtime soon. So you might want to just take off, and we will never make you stay throughout the whole meeting. But thank you so much, parents, and thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much.
All right. That was fun, right? That was really good. Reading is so important for everybody. Okay, we're going to move on to our board reports, or not our board reports, but just our reports in general. And first up, we have our student reports. I would like to introduce you to, let's see here. Is it Aliyah Blackman? Aaliyah, sorry. Aaliyah Blackman, and you are from Liberty High School. And we welcome you. Would you like to share some things?
Yes, I would. Good evening, President Zeta and Superintendent Dr. Wright, fellow trustees, and cabinet members. My name is Aaliyah Blackman, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight representing Liberty High School. Several students from Liberty, alongside with BHS, participated in the Forestry Challenge. The students had the opportunity to explore careers by interacting with natural resource professionals, including foresters, hydrologists, soil scientists, wildlife biologists, and fire scientists. This was our second year participating, and we hope to return next year. Tomorrow after lunch, Liberty will be walking to the end of First Street Pier with our marigolds. There, we will pause and reflect on those that we have honored either by pictures, symbols, or thoughts by Dia de los Muertos, ofrenda. We invite any of you that would like to join us. Last Tuesday, Halloween, students from Liberty volunteered and cleaned up parts of the city's cemetery. We want to thank the city, especially Mr. Jones and Mr. Ken, for working with us to make this happen. For the month of November, we will be recognizing Native American Heritage Month, and we will be visiting the California Native American History Museum next week. We will also be exploring Native American artists, activists, and the invaluable contributions of Native peoples that have shaped our country. And finally, Liberty would like to congratulate several early grads, and I am one of these early graduates.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to talk about my Liberty High School experience, though. At Liberty, I loved it here. I'm very grateful to have gone to Liberty at the time that I did. I appreciate everybody from the students to the teachers. They brought out many things in me that I didn't know I had myself. At Benicia High School, I was not social at all, but now I socialize every time I'm there. So I really appreciate everybody. And for all the opportunities I have. I have a new job, and I'm going. I'm waiting for to hear back from colleges and stuff like that. But I'm grateful for everything that I experienced here, and I also want to thank the board for this opportunity to represent Liberty High School. Lastly, my classmate Jackie Garcia will be Liberty School Board representative, and on behalf of Liberty High School, thank you and God bless.
Now, don't go anywhere, young lady. We have something for you. So shall we go up?
On behalf of the Benicia Unified School District and the school board, we thank you for your service serving as our student board member, and we wish you well in your future endeavors. We know you're going to be very successful.
All right, that was a happy break there for just a minute. Much congratulations. And next I have Jinjin Gao, who is with the Benicia High School. He is the class president this year. So thank you, Jinjin, for being here.
Good evening, President Zeta, Superintendent Dr. Wright, fellow trustees and cabinet members. My name is Jinjin Gao, the senior class president. Last week, October 23rd through 31st was Red Ribbon Week. The student leadership partnered with Friday Night Live Club, a local club advocates against drugs and alcohol, to educate and motivate the student body about the risks of drugs and alcohol. In addition, we incorporated lunchtime activities such as chalk writing and positive board messages, along with music to rise school spirits. This week on Monday, we partook a mini pumpkin decoration during lunch. Though we couldn't carve them, but we still managed to came up with some really unique designs. On the same day, we held our first ever trunk or treat, in which individual students, teachers, or clubs could decorate their cars to pass out candies. We also organized food trucks where it was well liked by both students and staffs. We celebrated Halloween the next day with a costume Galleria walk featuring the work of BHS teachers and students. And this week, Wednesday was designated as a non-school day, and Thursday, Friday was rearranged to be the block days. Next week, Thursday, November 9th, is the Veterans Day ceremony celebrated at lunch, and Friday, November 10th, is the Veterans Day holiday. The intramural volleyball tournament will be held all week from November 13th through the 17th, along with Coat and Kent Food Drive, sponsored by student leadership at the same week long. Finally, on Tuesday, November 14th, is Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. There will be a lunch event held in the auditorium. On behalf of Benicia High School, thank you.
Thank you. That was really a good report. Lots of stuff going on at Benicia High. So thank you for doing that. And at this time, I know how sad it will be for you guys to get up and go home. You'll miss us, but please, it is time for you to get up and you can go do your homework or whatever you have going on. So we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your days. Thank you. Okay, and next we have our superintendent report. Dr. Wright, you're up.
All right, good evening. I really enjoy this time of year. There's a lot of activities going on in our school sites. A couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to visit some of our fall festivals. Halloween parade was outstanding. I had an opportunity to go to Henderson's. Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to attending Viking Night at the middle school. And Dias de las thank you. My daughters are at home rolling their eyes at me for not being able to pronounce that, but yeah, I get it. So, okay. And we're quickly rolling into fall break or our Thanksgiving break. There's no school the week of November 20th. Give us an opportunity to spend time with our family and our loved ones. Our speaker series is outstanding. Next week, we're really rolling into the human growth and development phase of it. On November 6th, Positive Prevention Plus for our 7th grade students. Parents of our 7th grade students learn about the sexual health curriculum. On November 7th is Puberty Talk for our 5th graders. And November 8th, Rights, Respect, and Responsibility for our 10th grade students. And on November 16th is Sexuality for All Abilities for our 9th through 12th grade students that have IEPs. So those events are taking place virtually. I know Dr. Beatson just sent out the reminders via email. So feel free to tune in if you wanted to learn a little bit more about our human growth and development curriculum. And on November 15th, we've been promoting this event. It's a vaping awareness event on November 15th here in the boardroom. It's going to take place in person and also virtually, should you want to tune in from home, and we will record the event so you can watch it at your convenience as well. Friday, November 10th, as our students shared with us, is Veterans Day. We want to thank all the individuals who served our country. And as I think about and I turn on the news and I think about the incivility that's happening throughout the world and even in this country, it's just a great reminder that we recognize those that fought for our democracy. Thank you for allowing us to dream big and put our vision into action, fighting for our freedom to speak freely and candidly, the right to advocate and fight to address some of the injustices, and the right to choose what we believe and who we love. So veterans, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your service. And on November 9th at 1 o'clock at Benicia High School, they have a ceremony in the quad that they do every year. So if you have an opportunity to check that out, it's definitely worth it. They do the raising of the flag, and our veterans are there as well. November is Native American Heritage Month. Calls attention to the culture, traditions, and achievement of Native Americans. Just want to share a couple of historical facts. The official designation of November as National Native American Heritage Month was signed into law in 1990. There are approximately 175 indigenous languages spoken here in the United States. I think there was a movie made about this one. But during World War II, the United States government enlisted the help of our skilled Native Americans known as cold talkers. And they use the Navajo language to transmit top secret information to Allied forces. Much of this information was classified until 2002, but about 70% participation into that war effort. So just wanted to give you a couple historical facts, so your next trivia game, you're prepared. And the last event I want to share is our Ruby Bridges Walk to School. That's going to take place on Tuesday, November 14th. I'm happy to say that all of our schools will be participating in this event. We will share information out next week. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. And we're at board reports, so nothing.
Very brief for me. I am a delegate, and so I had a chance to actually meet with our regional area, basically for the California School Board Association. So they have a new position that they through CSBA now, and they're called PACERS. And what they are, they're supports to the different regional areas. And so we had a chance to meet with ours last month. His name is Trevor Page. He actually comes from Assemblymember Wilson's office. So he's just basically there as like governmental support liaison and things like that. So it was great to meet him.
That's great. Ms. Grubb?
Did you want to go? I have.
Oh my God,
No, that's okay.
yes, of course.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I have. It's been a busy month,
Yes,
actually.
it has.
There's been quite a few events that I've been able to attend. The first one I want to mention is Benicia Reads, which was a joint partnership between the district and the city council. I also believe Kiwanis was there, as well as another chapter, which is a local nonprofit, and it was terrific. Up and down First Street, kids walked and did a scavenger hunt. So that was a great program. I hope to see it continue. I also was able to attend the Mary Farmer Harvest Festival and helped judge the chili contest. It was great to see so many people out, including some former teachers that I had, which was awesome. Mrs. Fritz. There was Joe Henderson's Joe-Cella, which was really cool. Local bands, I think from the Henderson community, came and played. And Mr. G got up there and played with Mr. Doran and Coach Fields and Dr. Beatson's husband and son played. It was awesome. It was a great event. We had the Matthew Turner Halloween Parade, always fun. Did a great job with that. And then I was trying to remember, the Budget Roadshow. I think that happened. That was super informative. And Mr. Maselli and Ms. Zeta went to that too. And then I was trying to think, Dr. Beatson, did we have our equity committee meeting? So we had an equity committee meeting. And that was fascinating. There are four different topics that groups of teachers and parents and students and those in the district are working on, and it's exciting. I'm on the Grading for Equity committee, so we'll see what we come up with. But it's been really fun. So very active month.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for doing all that.
It's fun. It's fun. It's
Thanks,
great.
Mrs. Hirsch. I had some of those on my thing also, so I won't go into depth and repeat them. But I did attend a coffee with the superintendent at BMS at Benicia Middle School. The equity meeting, I attended also. The roadshow meeting I attended. And then there was, the LCAP meeting. And there was also another thing. When I was at the Benicia High School, I must have failed to write it down on my paper, but I was at Benicia High School for a walk with other admin and stuff. And we were going through certain classes. We took different parts of the campus and split it up. And I have to tell you, first of all, the students were amazing. You could question them on what they're learning, and they would give you a big, broader, and more in-depth, even both sides of what they were learning at that time. And they were just all so polite and everything. And then I was sitting with our group, and we were sitting in the office the little conference room in Benicia High School's office. And all of a sudden, everybody's phone started going ding, 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 ding. And I did not know what was happening because I wasn't in the know. But apparently, there was a possible earthquake that was coming towards the district or Benicia. And I saw firsthand how well our district is. I only saw Benicia High School, but I can only imagine that the rest of our district school sites did equally as well. How wonderful they tackled it head on right away, got kids in the placements that they needed to be. Teachers knew what they had to do. Admin knew what they had to do, and they all went into their little ways, and it was so finely orchestrated. I was very impressed. So I want to thank Mrs. Kleinschmidt and her team of wonderful people for that day, and then all the rest of our sites too for handling that situation, which could have been bad, and it wasn't, thank goodness. But thank you. That's the end of my report. So good job. They did a good job. So now we're going to move on to comments from members of the public, and I do have one comment. I would like to read, all functions of the board meeting, including public comments, take place in person. Members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available on the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call open session to an item you wish to speak, general comments, and during the public comment item. Comments for items on the agenda will be called during the specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit the total time to 20 minutes per item with the timer displayed on our monitors. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during the public comment periods, and matters may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful, as students may be watching the board meeting. Thank you. And with that, I do have one comment. Alicia, if you would like to come up to the podium, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. So I'm here, basically I want to speak on the subject of the prefrontal cortex. It's the front part of the brain that is in charge of making decisions. And the reason why I'm speaking on this is because of the puberty talk that's going to be coming up. I know it's not probably going to change anything, but maybe they can add something that I will say at the end. My statement is that the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for decision making, is also in regards of concern about the gingerbread person and the puberty talk outline. So first I want to tell you that you can do your own research. That part of the brain is not fully developed until you're in your mid to late 20s for decision making. And so that being said, there's a number 17 for the gingerbread person. It points to the brain. There's a label pointing to the brain, and it states that that's gender identity, and it states underneath that how a person feels inside. So that being said, I just wanted to touch on that and point out the word feels. So while it is important to have feelings, it is also important to not make decisions, at least not permanent decisions, based on feelings alone, since our feelings constantly change. So for this being the elementary school topic, it concerns me a little bit that it could be more confusing than helpful to some kids. And so maybe it could be stated when the teachers are teaching this that our feelings do change all the time. So while you may feel one way at one moment, or one day, or 1 month, or 1 year, that may change, especially until we're adults. And so that is just what I wanted to point out, that I think that it should be stated in the puberty talk, whoever's going to be teaching that our feelings do change constantly. And of course, we should respect everybody's feelings and be kind to everybody and love everybody. But that does concern me. That is labeled gender identity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to our next item, which is the approval of the consent calendar. Background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. Common motion takes place without discussion on a roll call vote unless discussion of items is requested by board members. So were there any questions? Okay. Okay, so can I get an approval of the consent calendar as written?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as written.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
I know there's some things I need to report out separately here, and I'm trying to look for the right. 11E, I don't have an 11E. I have an 11C and an 11B. Okay, go ahead.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Maselli is absent now, so Trustee Hirsch. Yes. So we have.
So all three of those resolutions are good now, or do we have to do?
We have to do each individually.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a 4-0 with 1 absent on that one. And then we have the next one, which is F, Resolution 232407. President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Maselli is absent again, and Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
And the last one is 232410, and that is President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Maselli is absent again, so 4-0, 1 absent, and Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you. That's it on the resolutions.
Okay, thank you for walking us through that. Next up is presentations and communication and informational items. 12A is an academic data update. Bless you, Dr. Beetson. Our Assistant Sup of Ed Services is here to share with us some information regarding this.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees, President Zeta. I'm here to do a presentation. Please don't panic when you see how many slides are in the slide deck. I wanted to give you all the data for your review, but I will just give you the highlights and answer any questions that you have. The purpose of tonight's report is to give you the highlights and the opportunities from our CASP results, which are out from last spring, and to show you the alignment between our CASP, which is the state assessment, and our NWEA MAP, which is our local assessment that we give 3 times a year. And it is a very predictive assessment, and I want to show you that information. And then I'll conclude with our next steps. I do want to note that you have a little extra link in the board packet on the presentation of the steam wheel. That was accidental, so I apologize. I will be happy to give you a presentation on the steam wheel at the elementary school anytime you like, but I realized that I linked the wrong item in there, so that's why that's in there as well. Okay, so here we go. So I already went over what the purpose was. As you know, we use our vision, our organizational beliefs, and our characteristics of a Benicia grad as the foundational documents and statements for all of the work. And so how our students perform is a direct link to what we believe. And so it helps us really lean in and think about what we need to do differently and where we need to celebrate because we're meeting those needs. And then we also have that equity statement, and that's also linked to academic data too, as we look at disaggregating our data and which student groups are doing really well and which ones do we need to support even further. So that's why those slides are always in these presentations. So just a little bit about how we will have continual conversations around data. The assessments and the data inform our teaching and learning. That's the whole purpose. It isn't just to look at the data and think, well, that's interesting, but it really needs to propel our work. And so we ask questions, what's the current state of student performance? What were the conditions of learning? That has a big impact on how students perform. What might have contributed to the observed performance? We had a lot of that during COVID, really thinking about what were the impacts, and we're still having some of that. What should change? How do we use this data to change either our practice, our methods, our materials? So those are the kinds of things that we talk about as we really dig into what this data is telling us. Just a little bit about what the journey of CASP was. 2013-14 was our first year of administration. It took the place of the CST, the California State Test. We did not administer the CASP test in 2019, the year 2019-20 or 2021 because of COVID. In 21-22, when CASP came back, it was streamlined and shortened. They redid all of their metrics, and the CDE advises against really using these last 2 years and trying to compare it to pre-COVID because they've really renormed how that test looks. So in some of the slides, you'll notice if you go through those data slides, I've left the data there before COVID, but I made it gray just so that it really highlights the last 2 years. CASP is given in grades 3 through 8 and 11 in English language arts and mathematics. One note, and I think I'll probably touch on this again, and I think we talk about this every year. Our students in California and in Benicia Unified take English class all the way through 12th grade. In mathematics, they take math all the way through Math 1, which is typically at 9th grade. They have to take a second year of math. Some students take Math 2. Some students take personal finance as their second year of mathematics. And then some students continue on. They take Math 3, they take calculus, they'll continue on. The assessment for CASP measures through all of the standards that are taught in Math 3 in 11th grade. So some students might finish with math at 10th grade, only getting through Math 1. So there is a structural, I'd say deficit actually, in how this assessment is aligned with what the students are required to take across the state. And so there will be students that won't have had math for over a year. Okay, I just want to kind of point that out. It's not an excuse, but it is a factor that impacts how students perform at the high school level.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do we find that with other districts too?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
The state requirement is for graduation is 2 years of mathematics through Algebra 1, which is our Math 1. Some schools have 3 years of math as a graduation requirement. And there's a lot of debate around that, even within our math department, about what students need, what all students need in terms of that higher level math. And so there's a lot of debate around that, around what the right math pathway is, if that makes sense.
So the state's test isn't really aligned.
Well, the state's test is aligned to the standards, but there isn't a requirement that students take all the way through that third year of math. They might not have, exactly. And I just think that's an important factor to know as we look at that data. The other pieces about the CASP test is it's a computer-based test. It has multiple choice, short answer, constructed response, and performance tasks, which are very long, and they require multiple steps. It's computer adaptive, so it also will change, and if a student is guessing too fast, it'll slow them down. It will advance them further. It will back them up. So it matches to where the students are to try to really get a better understanding of what the students know and are able to do, because this test measures students' ability to master our state standards.
Can I ask you one question on that? Are there any options to take a paper test? It all has to be on the computer?
I believe it all has to be on the computer. There might be for students in special ed. There's accommodations, universal accommodations that any student can access, such as if a student wants the screen to be black with white letters instead of white with black letters because of how they can read that. So there's they can use highlighters. There's certain things that are accessible for all students. And then there are IEP-driven accommodations. For some of those, I believe, and I haven't looked at it lately to know 100%, but I think they might be able to take some hand.
Right, but you'd have to have the IEP.
Yes,
accommodation in place.
Yep. And so also linked on here, I won't go through them today, but there are some practice tests. So it's really interesting to go see what are the types of questions that students are asked to be able to do, and it's pretty complex. And then just quickly, we use these results, as I said, to improve learning. We look at the whole group, student groups, we disaggregate it, we look at by school site, we look at it by grade level. We look for growth and achievement. And the state is recognizing that too. So we want all students to meet all the standards and kind of be in that green. Of course, that's our goal, but we also want to see growth. So if students are really struggling, but that student group has moved up, they still haven't met green, that's a positive thing. And then we, in our district, use our local assessment as a predictor, and being able to go in and see what standards students are doing really well on and or need more support in before they get to that summative CASP test. And so we can sort of teach into it along the way, if that makes sense. And again, I won't spend time going through these now, but here are just some pulled out examples of some Smarter Balanced Assessment questions. I'm happy to go through them with you if you'd like, but they're here linked for you just for your review. And so the next few slides I'm going to go through, and these are just the highlights. This is the analysis, the initial analysis that we've done so far. So a highlight is that we in Benicia Unified outperformed all districts in Solano County in both English language arts and mathematics at 49% in ELA and 45% in math. So while the scores are not anywhere where we want them to be, we have outperformed everyone in the county. Our highest performing grade level was 11th grade, where 62% of the students met or exceeded standards. Our greatest increase, so again, remember we talked about growth, so we're not where we are, but we have to recognize where we're growing, and we're still kind of recovering from COVID and trying to accelerate that learning. Our third graders across the district overall had an average of 3 percentage points growth, and our cohort, so those are the students who were in third grade 2 years ago and moved to fourth grade, those same students had growth at 3 percentage points, okay? And then in mathematics, third grade was our highest performer as 59% across the district, and our greatest increase was in math at fifth grade. And then the greatest cohort growth, again, same students, are sixth graders when they took that test 2 years ago, and then they took it again last spring as seventh graders, improved by 9 percentage points. So that was a good growth. 5 is what we usually say is statistically significant. And then we had several student groups with the greatest increase in math. Our English learners with 7 percentage points, which was great. And then our students who identified as 2 or more races, and our Hispanic and Latino students. So those were the areas that had the highest growth across the district. And then the next slide is talking about our opportunities, or our areas that we need to focus on. And so, as I said, while we were the highest in the county, we were still less than 50% in those two areas. And so that's not an area that we want to sit in. We really are digging in and looking at that. We heard from Ms. Rice about even looking at really shifting our pedagogy, our practice in the teaching of English language arts and literacy at the early grades, because we know we've been really flat. I mean, that's the overall story is even before COVID, we're always hovering between 50 and 55%. We haven't been able to sort of make that next hurdle. So now we have to look at what are the best first instructional practices, what is our curriculum that we're using, and so we're doing that dive. We have some areas to focus on at the middle school in terms of ELA. That's another place we're looking at needing to probably replace the curriculum that's there. We've been using a variety of different things, and we're waiting for a program to come out that is in alignment with the high school so that we can pilot it, and it's supposed to be out next year. We don't want to wait too long, but that's something that we're going to look at. And so you can see some decreases there in ELA at 4th grade, and then a big one from 5th to 6th grade. And so again, we're really digging in to figure out what's happening there. Is it a new school? Is it the shift in curriculum? What's going on with that transition point? In mathematics, we talked about the high school issue of alignment with courses and this assessment. And then 8th grade was an area that we need to focus on. That had a big decrease as well. The math at the middle school, we're seeing some decline. So we're actually right now piloting the updated version of the curriculum, and we're paying attention to how are kids doing in that curriculum and on our NWEA. So we get to monitor this along the way because we'd like to see that this new curriculum that has new components to it and new teaching methodology is really going to impact that, and we should be able to measure that along the way with our local assessment.
Dr. Bateson, how are you actually looking at it? Like, are there, I know looking at the data is one thing, but are you allowing time for like teachers to kind of get together, analyze the data, have discussions about why you think certain things are happening in addition to the data, or how is that?
Absolutely. So I'm working with the site principals on that, and then they're turning and either doing it with their department chair teams, who are then doing it with their departments or with their whole staff. So yes, they're digging in to that data, and we've given several data protocols to how to have those kinds of conversations and what kinds of questions to ask. So those are happening. And then, so you can see where our decreases are there that we're paying attention to. And then the next several slides, and I'm going to go through them pretty quickly and just highlight a few pieces on here, are the site data. And up in the upper right-hand corner in the orange box, if you click on that, you'll get to see all of the site data if you would like. But we have some highlights at Benicia High School. We can see we have 2 student groups that made more than 5 percentage points growth, and that's one of those statistically significant areas, and then in mathematics as well. At Liberty High, while only 13% of the students met standard in ELA, it was an overall of 10 percentage points growth from last year. So it was a big growth, even though we have a long way to go. And then you can look at our students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, really made some great gains there. And then Benicia Middle School had 3 student groups that made over 5 percentage points growth. The next page is Semple. 4th grade had the greatest growth there with 17 percentage points. That's excellent. So one of the other things that we're going to be doing is really leaning into those places to say what's happening there. You know, do we see some trends and some patterns of things that are happening that we can then, because we have a lot of experts in the field, right? So how can we pull from what they're doing and share that more broadly? When you look at mathematics, our students in 4th grade and our students who are Hispanic had the greatest growth there, and then Mary Farmer in math at 4th grade. Henderson, our 3rd grade students made great gains with 23 percentage points growth, and in mathematics, my eyes go to our students who are Hispanic with 18%. So some big numbers of growth there, which is great. And then on the right side, you can see Matthew Turner's math socioeconomically disadvantaged students, 23 percentage points growth.
Dr. Beatson, can I ask you, with the NWEA, is that aligned any to what we're better than the CASP? Like, can you say the NWEA is a better measure of student learning?
It's very much aligned with the state test.
Oh, okay.
So and it acts very similarly to the state test in terms of how students take it. So it's a good predictive measure of how students do, but we can dig down deeper by student level, and it will group students by standard of, you know, if you're teaching this standard, these are the students that didn't meet that standard. So if you're going to teach addition of fractions with unlike denominators, and you can see which students are really struggling, you can pull them in a small group. And so you can really play around with the data in a different way. But what we should see is when we really use that data to that level and students make growth, they should also grow on the CASP test because they're within a 5 percentage point, pretty much a 5 percentage point alignment.
There's some
That
great
makes sense?
growth here. That's
Yes.
why I ask.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. This is a summative. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind with CASP, we get it after the kids have left us, so we can't do anything with this data with the kids that we had in that same year. We can use it to try to intervene, but it's really lag data. We look at growth because that's important, but this tells us a lot about our practice and our program, where NWEA is where we can really use that data to move the needle with students, if that makes sense. And then I have the similar slides in here for the opportunities and some of the greatest areas that we need to focus on. I won't go through all of them unless you have questions for me, but all that data is right here. And so that's the next few slides for each school site as well. And then I just want to take a moment. So on this slide is the NWEA. So it's kind of getting to what you were saying, Ms. Hirsch. So it is aligned with the CASP within 5 percentage points. Students perform on NWEA overall 5 percentage points to the CASP assessment, which is great. And we give NWEA 3 times a year, in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring, so that we can use that data to really inform our instruction. And we can use it as a predictor. So right now, after we've given the beginning of the year assessment, we should be looking at that data saying, okay, this is where we are. If we do nothing else, this is how we're going to perform on CASP. How can we dig in and use that in our teaching in our everyday? And I'm not going to go through these next slides. I just want to point out a couple of things here. So I have our slide in how did we perform in the county. And then just a reminder on these slides, so this is ELA, you can read these slides 2 ways. You can read them straight across, and that tells you your grade level performance. But then you could also look, if you look over at the right side where it says 2023, you can look at our 3rd graders and see how they did as 3rd graders to 4th graders. Okay, if that makes sense, you can look diagonally. And so then there's just a lot of data slides here, breaking down into student groups, grade levels, and so on. I'm happy to spend time going through this with you. If you have questions, I'm happy to go back to anyone. I just, you let me know if you had any questions on that. There is a slide in here that shows the comparison between how our kids did on the fall of 2022, so last year's NWEA to last year's CASP. So they took the NWEA in the fall, and then how did they do in last spring's CASP? And you can see pretty much it's within 5 percentage points. And then just, so what are we going to do with all of this, right? That's where the rubber meets the road. So to answer your question, Dr. Moss, we do deep data dives every month. I work with the site leaders to then turn around and do that same work with their staff, use that data to inform instruction. So this is our 2nd real year of administering the NWEA. And so last year we used our data more globally. We're just getting used to the assessment. What does it look like? What does the data mean? This year, we're working with departments and sites to really dig in deeper and say, okay, what does this mean for our students? How do we use this data? They can get down to a standard level. We can reassess just on that standard after we teach into it. So it's really pretty powerful. We're going to use their tools and release tasks for NWEA and CASP. So making sure that what we're doing in the classroom is mirroring what the state is saying. This is what, if students can master this, this is what it looks like. Making sure that we're using our core and supplemental curriculum. We're doing learning walks every week. So really starting to see what's happening in our classrooms. We've identified evidence-based best first instructional practices, and we have one as a district, and then each site has determined one, and so we're providing professional development on that. And what does that look like? We're going to host some family nights to give them some information about what this assessment is. We have lined, you heard Ms. Rice say all of our elementary reading intervention has been trained in some additional strategies, Orton Gillingham, to support students. We were fortunate to be able to offer one section at Benicia Middle School to one of our teacher leaders who is trained in the new curriculum that they're piloting. She's a trainer for them as well, and so she's doing some release work with teachers at the middle school in mathematics on that. We're piloting a new curriculum. We have direct support for our English language learners. Our attendance campaign, you know, if students aren't in school, they're not learning. So all of these things are related. And then we're really working on some deep professional learning around school culture, because that climate and that space for learning really makes a difference. So I know that was quick, but
I'm curious. I've always, you know, being a teacher myself and talking to the kids, how do we motivate the kids to care about how they do on this test? Because it's not part of their grade. They can't, you know, what are we doing? Like we do, you know, I was just curious. We'd try some stuff too, but I was curious what we did.
It's a great question. I think at the high school, we have set aside some funds in the LCAP for SBAC incentives, though I have talked with our high school principal, and we're unclear if that's really motivating for students.
Because you don't even get the results till months later.
You don't get, I think the high school's
So
the
how do you
hardest
even
one.
reward?
Honestly, I do, because it's given in the spring of 11th grade when they're taking AP tests,
Right.
and they've done all of these other things. They're getting ready to do college applications, all of that. So it is, part of it, that gets down to what we have to try to do as educators, right? Is help their parents know, help set that stage for learning, using that information, and hopefully we can use NWEA to help them set goals. So that's one of the other things that we're doing, is there's a whole section in the NWEA assessment where kids can set goals and track their learning that way. So we're using that as well. But I think part of it, that's a great point, because we don't even have the same students to be able to sit and say, here's how you did. What can we do next?
The fact that the NWEA is aligned to the CASP, you use maybe rewards for how you do on that, because
Right.
you get immediate feedback.
Right,
And
exactly.
you could see how you did, and then say, hey, if you did, you know, this, so that they're trained to want to, you know, they get better, and then it would show up on the CASP. But yeah,
Right.
that's been always the bugaboo, trying to figure out how do you reward kids for a test you're not going to find out until maybe they're even out of your school.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? I know I went through that really, really quickly, and I'm happy to go back to anything that you have.
Just a question for the community about where to find information about it. Is it linked on the website? And then I know in Parent Square, you can go and look up your students' scores.
Great question. So in Aries, they can look up their student scores. I'm looking to see if it's all been pulled over, because these just got released in the last week and a half. So it will get pulled over, and we'll send out some notification when it's there. The other thing you can do is go on to the California dashboard, and that's where you can see some of our data as well. And I can put this presentation up on our website as well.
Great.
Great question. Anything
Thank you
else?
very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Beatson. We are going to move on to items number, action items 13. So the first one is consideration of the approval and adoption of the recommended California School Board Association board policy updates for September 22nd, September 2022, December 2022, those are years, March 2023, and June 2023. So we need to see if there is a motion to approve these particular bylaws in 9100.
I move that we approve the adoption of the recommended California School Board Association board policy updates for the given months.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Or roll call?
President Seda?
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs? Trustee Moss? Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let me look on here. Bless you. Okay, consideration and approval of resolution 23-24-11.
We got a board bylaw 9100 organization for that. Yeah.
Okay. So can I get a motion regarding a consideration and approval of board bylaws 9100 organization?
I move that we approve board bylaw 9100 organization.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please? Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
President Seda?
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs? Trustee Moss? Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, the next item B, consideration and approval of the resolution number 23-24-11 of the Governing Board of Benicia Unified School District ordering an election to authorize the issuance of school bonds, establishing specifications of the election order, and requesting consideration with other elections occurring on March 5th, 2024. And Dr. Wright, I think you're going to speak on this.
Yes, but before I speak on it, I would like to introduce Mr. John Isom.
Oh, I didn't see him back there. Hi. You did sneak in.
Snuck in.
Welcome.
Good, thank you. Good evening, members of the board and district administration, members of the community. John Isom, district's financial advisor. I'm just going to take a few minutes just to kind of explain what we've got here and provide a little bit of background for the community and a little reminder for the district. We were charged with doing a feasibility analysis of your voters and of your community to gauge the willingness of them to support another school improvement bond measure. You may know by way of history that this community has been very supportive. They passed a bond in 1991. It's all paid off. They passed a bond in 1997. It gets all paid off in 2 years. They passed a bond in 2014. But here we are today with significant facilities needs and no source of funding. So what we have before you is a resolution that really summarizes that feasibility process. We went out, we did a voter survey, we called people, we asked for their input on projects, we asked for their input on tax rates, and ultimately the question of if an election were held today, would you vote yes? And the support came back overwhelmingly strong. We also said that's not enough to just do that, but we need to have some conversations with stakeholders. And I know that Damon and some of you probably were involved in speaking with community leaders. What do you think, elected official? What do you think, business? What do you think, teachers union, PTA president, et cetera, et cetera? So this resolution that you have before you is the culmination of that exercise. It's our recommendation that the district approve this resolution because we believe it's reflective of what this community is willing to support. In it, you have a few things. Most notably, you have the total bond amount, $122.5 million. You also have a detailed project list. These are the things that you're going to be beholden to, for lack of a better term, for the community on how you spend the dollars. There's also a 75-word ballot language. That's what voters get to evaluate when they go to the ballot booth. They see that paragraph. There's also some directions administrative where you're saying, hey, Solano County, I need you to conduct this on our behalf. I want you to consolidate this on our behalf. We're also agreeing to abide by a number of rules and safeguards, most notably those of Proposition 39, a detailed project list, oversight committee of community residents that help you guys make sure you're spending the money accordingly, financial performance audits and financial audits, so both performance and financial. A regularly scheduled election day, as opposed to picking any Tuesday, we have to go on a regular one. So we're saying, hey, March is the regular one. So there are all these safeguards in place. But I do also want to point out one of the key features is the concept of a tax rate extension. Remember I said the 1991 bonds got passed, all gone. Last payment was made years ago. 1997 bond got passed, going to be all gone in 2 years. And what we're saying is, instead of letting that go completely away, let's replace it with this 2024 measure. Interestingly and luckily, whatever you want to call it, folks have been consistently paying about $140 tax rate over these last decades. This particular tax rate extension would actually result in a lowering of the tax rate to less than $100. So I don't want to quite say, hey, everyone's getting a break, a tax break, because you could get even more of a break if you didn't have this measure. But there is going to be a significant tax reduction in 2 years, even with the passage of this measure. So that kind of is it in a nutshell. Kind of wanted to report back to that. I know Damon's got some information to share as well. And I don't know if you wanted me to take questions now, or if you want to do your presentation and we take questions after. What's your guys' pleasure?
I say keep going.
Okay. Well, I'm done. I mean, I think I highlighted all of the key features of this. But from our perspective, you know, a lot of districts are going in 2024. Many can't, in our opinion, be successful by going in March. They need to go in November for some reason, usually related to voter turnout. But here we don't see that as an issue. We think that your community, just as it has in the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s, is willing to support you again. We've done our homework as far as, does this meet our recommendation? It does. You're going to be along with another, we probably have about 18 different school districts in the state that are also going to go in March. But we're very optimistic. I think this is a fantastic time and program for you. And I guess I'm happy to take questions, or do you want to? Okay. That means I covered it all.
Got it.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I know you've got some really important things, I think, for the community to hear. And there'll be more education and campaigns and information that's going to come out to the voters in the subsequent several months. So this isn't the last that you'll see of me. I'm going to be working with you guys to make sure that we can educate the voters on what we think is really a fantastic program. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. You bet.
I think Mr. Isom, he covered it well in summary. And if I can just add anything to his presentation, is that I just want to thank our district, previous administration. They did an outstanding job implementing the bond. I think about the safety and security that we were able to add to our campuses with the exterior fencing, the cameras. Just this past summer, the leaky roofs that we had over at Turner, all that came from facility bond, our Measure S bonds. And I think, as Mr. Isom explained, this is the bond money is all allocated at the end of this year. And as we start thinking about the work that we need to do moving forward in the future, we have a lot of unfunded projects that still need to get done. And the thing that I really want to highlight is the TK expansion. I mean, by 25, 26, all three of our schools are slated to have 3 TK classrooms at each of our elementary schools. And we have to make sure that we have appropriate bathroom facilities to accommodate our young learners. In STEAM, multi-purpose room, BHS, I can think about Benicia High School, the Performing Arts Building has been a topic of conversation. Also, their gym floor has been a topic of conversation. I mean, we can go on and on. I think in looking at our facilities master plan, it's in excess of $150 million worth of projects, and it doesn't necessarily include all the projects that we need to get our district where it needs to be. I think that in talking with the community and the support, Mr. Isom, he did the survey, said about 61% support with a lower tax rate. And I had an opportunity to reach out to some of the educational partners and just kind of check the temperature to see how they felt about it. And there's a lot of support. It really wasn't, they didn't really have any questions or any opposition. I think people understand that there's a value in having great school facilities. It's great for the schools, our students. It's also great for the community and curb appeal. So there was a lot of support behind it. The question that I often got is, what's the catch? You're telling me that $122.5 million bond and my tax rate is actually going to drop from where it is now? And I was like, yeah, there's really no catch. Where just the plan is to extend the existing bond that's getting ready to come off. And, you know, just for not to be redundant, I think that this is something that we're pretty excited about as a district staff. And we just want our governing board to consider moving forward, placing $122.5 million bond on the March 2024 ballot.
Thank you. Are there questions from our board regarding this?
Oh, I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
When might we see the comprehensive, detailed project list?
Our staff worked on it a little bit this week, and I can show you that now. And again, it's still an ongoing process. We're continuing to get feedback, but I can share this with the board this evening. And if you could take a look at what's currently on our facilities master plan. But if this is something that the board decides to go forward with, we'll continue reaching out to our school sites. Yes, there should be one for each. You can just take one and pass it down. But understand that it's always a working draft.
Oh, whoa, I can't.
I mean,
That's why I hesitated to pass it out. It is pretty small. But we can send you an electronic version.
Please.
Trustee Grubbs,
I mean,
that would help.
It just looks like little black lines. That's.
They're like little baby ants.
I know. They're smaller than baby ants.
well, thanks for trying to put this together.
I'm gonna just send this. There's no way I can read that.
We'll send it electronic to you tomorrow morning. You'll have it.
It's like, really?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
I try to enlarge it the best that I could.
And I know with these forms, it's kind of hard to fit it all in.
But we'll make sure that you have a comprehensive list to take a look at, and keep in mind it's a work in
for
draft.
it tomorrow.
Okay, then, we have a job here. So, okay, so on 13B, can I get a motion?
I'll move that we approve resolution number 23-24-11 of the governing board of the Benicia Unified School District ordering an election to authorize the issuance of school bonds, establishing specifications of the election order, and requesting consolidation with other elections occurring on March 5th, 2024.
May I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Congratulations, and we'll see you
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you for your work on this. I appreciate it. Okay, moving on. We're going to go to 13C. I know, so I have to bypass all this stuff. I'm going back out. How do I get rid of this? Oh my gosh, sorry. Okay. Consideration and approval of revised declaration of need, CL-500. And we are going to have Damon Bright, Dr. Bright, and Mr. Rayhill, our CPA Chief Business.
Dr. Gill will take this one.
Oh, says something else. Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Superintendent Wright, community members, and staff. So each year we bring a declaration of need to the governing boards during summertime. This year we exceeded, we needed more teachers with PIPs and STIPs because of the current situation we have within our school district and around the state as well. So we just wanted to bring that to, so we can give the commission a revised declaration for need for fully classified, qualified educators.
Does anybody have any questions? And I just found the right page. So, Dr. Gill, you were on here. It was user error. So any questions, guys? No? Okay, then does anybody want to make a motion, please?
I move that we approve the Declaration of Need CL 500.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Mrs.
President
Martinez?
Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch. Yes.
All right. We're going to move on to item D. Also, Dr. Gill, you're up.
Thank you, ma'am. In order to assist our district in planning for upcoming school year and to assist our district in recruiting highly qualified employees for the 24-25 school year, Benicia Unified School District is requesting our governing to approve that we offer early notification retirement incentive to all of our classified and certificated employees, who inform us the school district by Friday, January 12, 2024, that they plan to retire, which will be non-revocable letter of intent. They will receive $1,500 for full-time certificated or classified employees and prorated for part-time employees.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions regarding this? Pretty standard.
Very standard.
Okay, so can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the early notification retirement incentive.
Thank you. May I get a second? Which one? Okay. Roll call, please.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Yes. Trustee Maselli. Yes. And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes. Thank you.
All righty, on to item E. Consideration and approval of resolution number 2324-09 to identify the amount of the budget reduction needs in the fiscal year of 24-25. And I won't continue reading that, but I know that Dr. Wright is going to be speaking on this item.
Yes, so this resolution memorializes the information we may need as a district regarding potential programmatic shifts that we need to make to maintain our fiscal solvency. So it is our ask as a district that the board consider adopting this resolution.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions regarding this? No. Okay, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve resolution 23-24-09.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Ms. Martinez.
President Zeta.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Yes. Trustee Moss. Yes. And Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Hirsch.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to F. And Dr. Gill, you're back up. So consideration and ratification of the tentative agreement for the 23-24 school year between BUSD and BTA, including AB 1200.
Yes, ma'am. The district and the BTA bargaining unit members teams met at the bargaining table for 3 times this year. And these negotiations produced an agreement that includes 8.22% ongoing salary schedule increase retro to July 1, 2023, and $87 applied to medical benefits effective September 30th, 2023 for the 23-24 school year, which has been ratified by the BTA unit members. In accordance with AB 1200, the financial impact of this tentative agreement with the BTA is $2,769,527. We greatly appreciate our BTA team members and the union leaders and the negotiation teams' collaboration and teamwork. Thank you, and also appreciate our CBO, superintendent, and governing boards. Everybody worked extremely hard to make this happen, so thank you.
Thank you for that information. And are there any questions at this time about this?
I just want to make a quick comment.
Of course, please.
I want to echo Dr. Gill's commendment of everybody in this. You know, I know in negotiations, I'm the new board member here, but I know in negotiations, both sides always make concessions, and I want to thank both sides for doing that. I don't even want to say sides. I feel like we are a team, and I'm really glad that we were able to come to an agreement quickly. That's great. It benefits the whole community. You know, we have other things in our agenda tonight that indicate we're going to be looking hard at our finances. I think that this is something any healthy organization has to do. So I'll just continue to ask for support and that we continue working as a team. And also just a call to the community. The district is putting out a lot of information about the budget roadshow. It's available online. Please watch it. Please share your opinions. You know, I think we want to, like I said, work together and make all of the decisions work as best we can. And I know we can do that.
Thank you, Mrs. Hurst. That was well said. Thank you.
I also want to appreciate everybody that looking around the state and up and down and into Oregon, there's districts that are going on strike, there's districts that have struck, and you end up with this really combative thing. And I really, you know, it's going to war with each other. And I really appreciate the fact that everybody was willing to find a way to get this done so we didn't have to go to war with one another, because no one gains and the kids lose with that.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Maselli, also well said. So at this time, I am going to ask if somebody would like to make a motion, please.
I move that we approve the tentative agreement between the Benicia Teachers Association and BUSD.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mrs. Martinez.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Grubbs. Trustee Moss. Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're moving on to G. Dr. Gill, you're back up again. This is regarding the tentative agreement between BUSD and classified school employees, our CSEA group. You're up. Thanks.
So the district and the CSEA Chapter 1096 bargaining teams met this year for 3 times. And these negotiations produced the agreement that was attached, which is 8.22% ongoing salary schedule increase retro to July 1, 2023, and $87 applied to medical benefits effective September 30th, 2023 for the 23-24 school year, which has been ratified by CSA Chapter 1096 unit members. And in accordance with AB 1200, the financial impact of this tentative agreement with the CSEA Chapter 1096 is $1,289,951. And again, we thank CSEA team leaders, all the union members, especially the negotiation team, working so diligently, collaboratively with us. And I agree with your comments that we have such great relationships. This was my 7th time as the negotiating chair from the district office, working with both teams. And I cannot dream of a better team as compared to both of our unions. So we greatly appreciate you and the relationships we have, and we are going to continue with this relationship in the future years to come as well. And thanks to your leadership, Dr. Wright, and board members, Mr. Rahal and Ms. Peterson as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I would like to see if we can get a motion on this item, please.
I'd like to move that we approve the BUSD and CSEA Charter Chapter 1096 tentative agreement as presented.
Thank you. May I get a second, please? Thank you. A roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Gross.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Masoli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
Thank you. Our last item this evening is regarding the consideration and ratification of the tentative agreement for the 23-24 school year between BUSD and the Confidential Management Classified Certificated and the Benicia Unified School District, including AB 1200. And Dr. Wright, you're going to speak on this?
Dr. Gill.
I can share the information if Dr. Wright wants to add anything. He can. So similar to our classified and certificated members, management team is also being offered 8.22% ongoing salary schedule increase retro to July 1, 2023, and $87 applied to medical benefits effective September 30th, 2023 for the 23-24 school year. And in accordance with AB 1200, the financial impact of this tentative agreement with the management team is $656,937. We also added one more piece in there, which is the retirement medical program for the classified CSEA Chapter 1096 and BTA. It's added in their contract, but it's the same exact plan. Basically, anybody who's retired, the language is there. So just wanted to memorialize this language as well in there for them too. And along with the attached TAs for all units, CSEA 1096, BTA, and management, we also have the salary schedules also attached along with AB 1200 in there as well for everybody.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any questions? No? Okay, can I get a motion, please? Hello?
I'll move. I'll move that we, where's my language? I'll move that we ratify the tentative agreement for the 2023-24 school year between Benicia Unified School District and the Confidential Management Classified Certificated and the Benicia Unified School District, including AB 1200.
Thank you. May I get a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Gross. Yes. Trustee Moss. Trustee Masoli.
Yes.
And Trustee Hirsch.
Yes.
That brings us to the end of our meeting. I just want to remind everybody that December 14th is our next scheduled governing board meeting. And I know that we have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday between now and then. So please enjoy time with your family, enjoy the time off. And thank you again so much. Good night.